It's 2 in the morning. You're exhausted. Your body wants sleep, but your mind refuses. One thought becomes another, and suddenly you're replaying a conversation from 3 years ago. Then, out of nowhere, you're planning for a problem that doesn't even exist yet. Why does your own brain seem determined to keep you awake? Why can't it just stop? By the end of this video, you'll understand why your mind never actually goes quiet, why it gets loudest exactly when you want it to be silent, and what actually works to turn the volume down based on how your brain really operates. Let's start somewhere ordinary. You're in the shower, water running, nothing to do, and somehow this is when the biggest thoughts show up. The apology you never gave, the decision you keep avoiding, some random memory from years ago that means nothing and shows up anyway. You didn't invite any of these thoughts, they just arrived. And that's the first thing worth understanding here. Your mind was never built to be quiet. Silence isn't its natural state. Searching is. Here's something strange that most people never realize. When your brain has nothing urgent to focus on, it doesn't switch off. It switches into a completely different mode. There's actually a name for it in neuroscience. The default mode network. It's the part of your brain that activates the moment you stop focusing on a task in front of you. Think of your mind like a car with 2 different drivers. One driver only takes the wheel when you're focused on something specific, reading, talking, solving a problem. The other driver takes over the second the first one lets go. And that second driver doesn't drive forward. It drives backward and sideways, into memory, into worry, into old unfinished business. This explains why your best thoughts and your worst thoughts show up in the shower, or driving, or lying in bed at night. Those are exactly the moments your first driver has nothing to do, so the second one takes over completely. But here's the part that changes how you see all of this. That second driver isn't malfunctioning. It's not punishing you. It's actually doing something your ancestors needed in order to survive. Thousands of years ago, an idle mind wasn't a relaxed mind. It was a dangerous one. If you weren't actively focused on food or safety, your brain used the downtime to scan for threats, replay dangerous encounters, and rehearse what to do differently next time. The people who did this constantly survived more often than the people who let their minds go fully blank. So you inherited a brain that's built to stay slightly on alert, even now, even when there's no actual danger anywhere nearby. Your body is safe, sitting on the couch, but your mind doesn't fully know the difference between an ancient threat and a modern worry. To your brain, an unread message and an approaching predator can trigger a surprisingly similar response. This is why you're not broken for overthinking. Your brain isn't trying to make you miserable. It's trying to protect you, using an old survival system that never quite got the memo that the world changed. There's something else worth sitting with here. Overthinking rarely shows up as one giant thought. It shows up as dozens of small ones, stacked on top of each other. A comment from earlier, a decision from last week, something you're supposed to do tomorrow. None of them individually feel overwhelming. It's the stacking that makes it feel like too much. Your brain does this because it treats every unfinished thought like an open tab. It doesn't close tabs on its own. It just keeps them running quietly in the background, using a little bit of mental energy each, until you either finish them or consciously set them down. But here's something most people get backwards. The people who overthink the most are often the same people who are unusually perceptive, not broken, not weak-minded, just tuned to notice more than most brains bother to register. The cost of noticing everything is that your mind has more material to circle back to later. There's another everyday moment worth looking at here. You send a text, no reply comes back right away. And suddenly, your mind has already generated 4 different explanations, 3 of them involving something being wrong, before you've even set the phone back down. Why does your brain jump to the worst explanation first? Because an old brain, built for survival, treats uncertainty itself as the threat, not the actual outcome. A brain that assumes danger and turns out wrong loses nothing. A brain that assumes safety and turns out wrong could lose everything. So evolution favored the anxious guess over the calm one, even when the calm one is almost always right. Here's something even more interesting. Overthinking almost always intensifies at night, not randomly. There's a real reason for it. During the day, your senses are busy processing the world around you. Sounds, movement, light. At night, when that input drops, your brain doesn't actually get quieter. It just redirects all that unused attention inward. Your mind isn't creating new problems for you at night. It's simply the first time all day it's had enough spare processing power to finally notice the ones that were already sitting there. There's also a reason certain thoughts return more than others. Your brain doesn't treat every memory equally. It gives extra weight to anything tagged with strong emotion, especially embarrassment or fear or regret. That's not a flaw. It's a filing system built to make sure you remember the moments most likely to matter for your survival. The side effect is that the moments you'd most like to forget are exactly the ones your brain works hardest to keep. So what actually helps here? Not stop thinking, because that's a little like telling a river to stop flowing. Instead, you learn to redirect where the current goes. First, give your mind a task before bed, not a blank space. Journaling for even 2 minutes works because it moves the unfinished thoughts out of your head and onto paper. Your brain stops needing to hold onto them internally once it sees them written down. Second, when a repetitive thought shows up, don't fight it. Name its category. Out loud if you can. Say, this is a worry thought, or this is a memory thought. This works because naming a thought activates a different part of your brain than the part that's generating it, which quietly reduces its emotional intensity. Third, move your body for even 60 seconds the moment a thought loop starts. Overthinking depends heavily on stillness. Physical movement pulls your blood flow and your attention away from the internal loop and back into the present moment. This works best in the exact minute the loop begins, not 20 minutes later. Fourth, give yourself a scheduled worry window earlier in the day. 10 minutes where you're allowed to think about anything difficult on purpose. This sounds strange, but it works because your brain stops trying to sneak these thoughts in at 2 in the morning if it already knows it has permission to think them at 6 in the evening. Fifth, reduce screen light in the hour before bed. Not for the reason you think. It's not really about sleep chemistry. It's about removing the last stream of external input so your mind doesn't suddenly have an empty space to fill with old thoughts right as you're trying to fall asleep. One more thing worth knowing here. None of these are meant to be used all at once, every night, perfectly. Pick one. Use it for a week. Your mind doesn't need a complete system. It needs one small, consistent signal that tells it the search is temporarily over. It's also worth saying this plainly. Some nights, none of it will work, and your mind will win anyway. That doesn't mean you did it wrong. It means you're dealing with a system that's been running the same way for tens of thousands of years, and it isn't going to fully retrain itself in a week or a month. Progress here looks like fewer bad nights, not 0 of them. None of this will make your mind fall silent completely. And honestly, that was never really the goal. A completely silent mind isn't a healthier mind. It's just a mind with nothing left to notice. The real goal isn't silence, it's direction. So the next time your mind refuses to stay quiet, don't ask, "What's wrong with me?" Ask instead, "What is my brain trying to protect me from right now?" Because once you understand that your mind isn't attacking you, that it's just an old system trying to keep you safe in a world that no longer needs it to work this hard, it slowly stops feeling like your enemy. And it starts feeling, for the first time in a long time, like something you can actually work with. If this helped you understand yourself a little better, that's exactly why this channel exists. Every week, we break down the psychology behind the things you feel, but can't always explain. Hit subscribe, because the next video might explain the part of you that this one didn't, and if you want more of this, your next watch is right there on screen.